Hi, good evening. My name is Jay Rothman. I am the host of the show. Welcome to Real Men, Real Talk, Live! Welcome back to our first episode in 2023. Happy New Year to all of my co-hosts and all of our viewers out there this evening. We are coming in live on episode 134 in 2023. I'd like to introduce my co-host this evening, Evis Love Heath, the man of the land from down under. He calls Australia home. Welcome back, Evis Love.
Oh, we're in the year 2023. Big show tonight, brothers. Great to be here.
And of course, we have Mr. Josh Richer, aka Jay Ritty. Welcome back, Jay Ritty.
I'm keeping that up there for some reason. It makes me laugh.
Hey, as long as you're laughing and we're not crying, we're good to go. And of course, we have Mr. Jeff Fasano, who calls Nashville, Tennessee home. Welcome back, Jeff Fasano.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to 2023 and living the best life you can.
There you go. So tonight's episode is all about live or leave. Leave the lie to live your truth in 23. Or maybe that's just a faux pas on my part. Maybe it is live the lie to live your truth in 23. Ev, I'm going to invite you to kick us off tonight. It is hot and break us wide open for this episode. Leave the lie to live your truth in 23. What does that mean for you this first week in the new year?
Yeah, brother. Beautiful time of the year. We've come into the back end of the last year, 2022. Previous show, we were actually talking about, are you choosing you? You know, if you come to that point within your life and you're at the start of this here, then you are choosing you. That next step for me would be, are you now living your truth? Or are you still living the lie? Or are you ready to leave the lie? Now, this question may have been asked to you many times within your life. Are you living your truth? But for me, it's a very cryptic question because your truth is only your truth. My truth is my truth. It's going to be different from all people. But for me, one thing that is very common with being able to live your truth is full acceptance of self. Being able to accept everything about you. No matter what shit goes down in your life, man, you're picking yourself back up and you're able to live your truth. Why? Because you're living aligned to your talents, gifts, capabilities. You're being able to be more full accepting, like I said, of yourself and be grateful for the life that you have down here on planet Earth. And how do we live our truth, and how would that change our life? Many people today, particularly on the social media realm, to what's external to them, are trying to live the truth of someone else outside of themselves. Some of these people are called influencers. They may be influencing your life, but what's happening here to many people that I see in the collective is that this is causing a lot of pressure. And that doesn't have to be just the social media influencer. It could have been your conditioning, your programming growing up as a young boy, a young girl. It could have been all of the above, whether it was mum, dad, whether it was the coach, whether it was your school teacher, the other family beloved member that may have had an influence on your life. Many people now that I help on their journey, they say to me, I don't know what my truth is, Ev. Maybe I've always been living the lie. So how do we get back to living our truth? To me, my brothers and sisters, it's pretty easy. We get back to knowing thyself. So I'm looking forward to diving in deep with the brothers tonight because we could really give some nice tips, tools, and tricks to jump into the year 2023 and start living your truth. What do you think, Mr. Fasano?
Oh, coming right. Passing the
Yeah.
baton so quickly. Taking
Yep.
me back. You know, what came in to, well, as you were speaking, what came up for me, what is practicing the new, or even now identifying that lie, that untruth that we have been living in our life up until now. What is that for each and every one of us? But looking at the old behaviors and the old thoughts and the old even feelings that come up. Like for me, the main feeling that always would come up is not good enough. So one of the things that we go, okay, I need to explore this not good enough. It's like, wait a second. I've explored the crap out of that not good enough for years. I have really explored that. You know what? I know that so well. I know my old behaviors so well. I know them so well that why don't I try to get to know something new real well? It's pivoting off of that into, okay, that feeling of not good enough is coming up. And then the behaviors behind it are coming up again. You know something? Wait a second. I know that. I know that so well that I can close my eyes and inhale it and know what it smells like. Now it's about going in and whatever that is, nurturing that, and then saying, wait a second, that's old. That's old. I know that. You know what? Now I'm going to something new. Now I'm going to elevate my life from that. Now I'm going to start practicing this new and move into that whole old new and create new behaviors that enhance who we are and what our truth really, really is. And that's the shift that we can take now as we move into 2023. And that's what I'm choosing to do, because I just know all of that old stuff so well. Hey, it's time to get to know something new and move out into the world being who I am, practice that new, and start to elevate my life into the next level.
How do you tap into that?
Yep.
It's about recognizing, like I said at the beginning, recognizing the lie, recognizing the untruth. If we
and the lie you've
recognize
been
that,
living is that you're not good enough.
Yeah,
That's a lie. That is a bold-faced lie.
Bingo. And once we recognize that, like, not good enough? What? How long have I been living with that lie?
Mm-hmm.
Do I want to continue that? I've studied it. I've meditated upon it. I've done the work upon it. Wait a second. That is a lie. I am good enough. So I'm going to run with that now.
I love that conscious choice, Jeff, because that's, when we talk about, I mean, let's face it, we can't control anything in the world around us. I tried for a lot of years and drove myself crazy, running back and forth trying to control everything in my life. And where did it get me? It got me exhausted and in rehab. So I hear you, man. It's like if we can't control all that, we can look inward and we can say, what are the stories? What are the patterns? What are the beliefs that we are giving power to when we go out into the world? This creation of self, right? We think we don't have any choice here either, but we do. We have all the choice and all the freedom in the world to say, like Jeff's saying right now, wait a minute, I know that.
Yeah.
That's a lie. I love that, Jeff. It's been a beautiful thing to watch you go through this. And I have to admit, you and I grow so parallel together. I am in the same exact spot with you right now. And the freedom and the fun in going out into the world with this new, it's just like you dropped, it's almost like, have you ever had those, Ev, you know, those weight vests that you wear in the gym? Like, you know, when you're trying to add extra weight. So yeah, Jeff, you do too. You spent years in decades in the gym, but it's like you just drop that weight vest and you just walk outside and you're just like, oh, I can be me in the world.
Yeah.
And
you know what, you know what's, yeah. You know what is cool is we have worked, and all of us here on this show, and probably everybody out in the audience who's watching tonight has worked on that wounded inner child, and we still always will, because it is a never-ending process. But it grows, and we grow into our adulthood. But now it's time to bring in that wonder child, that the child inside of us that sees the possibilities in life. It's like watching a young child walk around discovering things and doing and beginning to bring in that child. That child that is the wonder child that's wondering and out there looking at all the opportunities and possibilities in life, that is where we're free now, because that child doesn't know not good enough. That child doesn't know not perfect enough. That child doesn't know any of that stuff. The wounded child knows all of that very well. And if we've worked on that wounded child, then we're moving into a more solidified adultness of ourselves. Then we can bring in that wonder child. And even when the feelings come up, we kind of slide the wonder child in there who doesn't know any of that. And then we move, and that's the new. We pivot in that and make those choices and go, it's time to up level it. It's time to look at the new.
I'm sure.
And Ev,
go ahead.
Go ahead, Jay.
I was going to ask, jumping ahead a little bit here, what role does forgiveness should it play or could it play in this process? Forgiveness of self, to be more specific.
Yeah. And for me, it's always forgiveness of abandoning yourself, maybe in those days. Now, what we're talking about here is, really self-worth. Your self-worth to be able to say that I am enough to live my truth. No matter what is going on, no matter what obstacles I face or challenges, what programming I have. So a lot of that forgiveness is being able to forgive yourself for those times that you may feel you've abandoned yourself as the child. And that, you know what? I may not have control of everything around me, but I do now have control of my life from within. So now how can I nurture that power within inside of myself and start living my truth? Well, for me, number one, we do have to get back to that value, that self-value, that self-worth, to build that self-esteem and confidence to flow through our life and be able to align to these intuitive gifts that we each and all have. Now, if we don't know what those gifts are, you may have to go back, and we've done a show on doing the auditory. You may have to ask people that you trust and revere outside of yourself, loved ones, that can actually help you with what your gifts and talents and capabilities are. So, yeah, Mr. Rotherman, for me, the big one is that self-worth behind this.
Yeah.
For sure. And Ev, you brought up a really great point. That self-abandonment, man, I didn't realize how much I did that throughout my whole entire, it was fear of not being loved, fear of rejection, fear, fear, because I didn't love and honor myself, that fear drove me to bend in this area, tell a white lie here, not speak my truth here, not all those. It was like hundreds of little self-abandonments throughout my life. And what resulted in that was I couldn't trust myself. I couldn't trust myself that when my feet were to the fire and someone was asking me something that I could speak my truth, that I could speak and stand up. That inner child in me didn't feel like I would stand up for me. I felt like I would sell myself down the river in a second just for you to love me or like me. And that's a vulnerable place for that inner child to be your entire life. And I think that's the biggest piece that I realized recently that has been the most fun for me as I've moved through this journey, Jeff, this similar journey as you the past 6 months. I can trust myself. And I couldn't even come close to saying that 6 months ago, even 2 months ago. I didn't realize that it took time, me setting boundaries, me knowing my worth, me standing up for myself, me not in the face of fear of rejection saying, no, I'm going to speak my truth. I'm going to be me, regardless of what you think. It took months of that repeatedly to prove to me that I can trust me now. I'm not going to sell me out. I'm not going to abandon Josh just to get you to like me.
Oh, oh man.
Oh, is that the moaning I heard in the background?
Whoa. Oh, man.
It's coming up.
Beautiful, brother.
Wow.
Let it out, let it flow, let it go.
That just hit me. Wow. Wow. I've been doing that. Josh, we in the last couple of shows you've been talking about I could trust me, and I wasn't comprehending that. And I'm not abandoning myself anymore, and I was not comprehending that. You would say it, and I would say, okay, trust myself. Well, it's, I get it. It hit me so deeply of how I did that. Exactly what you're talking about. Abandoning myself and not trusting me. Wow. 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 Oh man. Wow.
Love you, Jeff.
I've done that for a long, long time, and I think, and I know that I get it. It just popped in. I get it's trusting who we are, who you're being, and how I've abandoned that little boy inside of me and sold myself out on so many levels, in so many ways. And I'm not doing that anymore. That really it's like one of those, oh, now I get it. Now I get it. And I got it. I don't want to go so long with this, but I was understanding what you were saying in my mental body. I was getting the concept of it, but it just hit in my heart. It just hit in my soul what I've been doing for so long that I'm not going to be doing anymore. Wow.
We're free.
Wow.
Beautiful, brothers. Feel that, man. Feel that. And so much of that ultimate betrayal really is those early days, because like I mentioned, with so much of our conditioning and programming, we were always taught to get the solutions within our life from the outside world. And if we didn't have that solution within ourselves, that's when we felt we betrayed ourselves.
I literally can feel the sting of betrayal, of betraying myself. Wow.
Because we did it hundreds of thousands of times throughout our life.
Hey, I just want to say a few words here. Welcome home. Let that drop in.
Yeah, man.
That boy has been waiting a long time for you to come back.
Yeah.
Find him and hold him and nourish him and nurture him and love him without judgment. Love him unconditionally, meaning that we don't throw in a towel. We don't turn our back. We learn how to develop a new relationship with that little boy that's been waiting a lifetime for you to come home, to become his own father of him, father of self.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is how we take our mom and dads off the hook. Their job was done.
Yeah.
Now we get to show up and grow up and be the parent of self. So when Jeff, I know you haven't birthed any children, but in fact you have. When someone says, you have any children? You say, yeah, I do. I got one child. It's a child within. He needs to hear that. More importantly, he needs to feel that coming from you.
Yeah.
How's that feel?
If it feels incredible to feel safe for the first time.
Safe in
create that
our being, that there's no there's no absolutes in life, but the realization of betraying ourselves just to prove or to selling ourselves out to be loved on so many levels. And I am so done with doing that. Just to be the nice guy, to be loved, to be the nice guy.
To avoid conflict, to avoid everything. In tiny little ways.
Man.
Sometimes even 20, 30 times a day.
Just doing it and, oh, you'll love me and stuff like that. Yeah.
What's important is that through this process of the next ascension, spiritual awakening that you're experiencing right here, right now, on Real Men Real Talk Live tonight, is that we don't want to digress to guilt or shame of beating ourselves up around this, of how we didn't show up for ourselves. Instead, we invert the old paradigm that maybe we're accustomed to growing up in the homes that we grew up in, is use this moment as a pivot into gratitude.
Yeah.
Look, people go through their whole life and they never have this breakthrough. They don't have this epiphany. To be able to experience this in this lifetime is a gift. It's a gift of gratitude. Gratitude that you heard what you heard tonight. You've heard it before, but tonight it dropped down into your soul.
It's amazing how, excuse all those underlying moans that you heard from me. But that when Josh was speaking, folks out there, if you have ever experienced those ahas and having the concept drop from your mind and into your heart, and then all of a sudden you start feeling those experiences of betrayal and abandonment of yourself. That's what was happening while Josh was speaking, and I'm getting it, and I'm feeling it in my soul and my heart, and then the feelings came up, and so wow, what a way to begin 2023, guys.
It's beautiful. This is all beautiful. You know, the of self renewal on that first step of self discovery. We start to uncover these layers. You know,
Wow.
and I just want to make it clear too. You know, to brothers and sisters that may be watching us at that whatever time you guys are watching, that it may not even just be from those early days. You may be in a current relationship that you may be betraying yourself, not giving yourself that freedom to make decisions within your own life. You may be not feeling that freedom within your relationship, and because of that attachment to that person, you don't give this sort of time to yourself. Even what us brothers are doing here in real time, we're having a really time for ourselves to be healing as one. But are you doing that for yourself? Do you give yourself that time through the day? So these are big red flags for you not being able to live your truth. Lack of being able to make decisions for yourself because of a relationship, and not spending time for yourself, that me time, will throw you total out in betrayal of yourself, whether it's conscious or unconscious.
Yeah.
And when we're tired and we're not eating right and we're not getting, enough sleep hygiene, like it's so much harder to live when we are in that grind and that busyness, and you're not giving yourself, self-care time. You're not giving yourself enough sleep. Your brain actually takes away energy from the front part of your brain, the rationing part of your brain. That's why we get emotional when we get tired. And it's so much harder to do this work when we're not giving ourselves those things. Like this work requires patience, self-love, those beautiful, Jade, Ev, you guys are so great about getting out in nature, and that's your way to ground yourself and come home. And that's how you give yourself that peace and that time for this work to settle in. It's not enough just to identify the problem and then work on, changing these patterns. We got to support ourselves through the process too. We got to give ourselves the tools to heal. Those are the tools to heal.
Part of the job is just getting into the practice of just doing daily check-ins with yourself.
Yeah.
Literally, there's random times when I'll check in with that little boy within this body temple here, and I'll say, "Hey, JJ, I love you today." I literally say that. I say that to myself. Some people say, well, if you talk to yourself, you're crazy. Now, if you talk to yourself, you fall in love with yourself.
Yeah.
That little boy needs to hear that. When you think about, when we were first born and we were toddlers, what do children need? We need to hear those affirmations from our parent or parents here too. And so for me, checking in is a power tool. Just like saying hello to myself on a daily basis, checking in, asking that little boy, JJ, what do you need from me today? What do you need from me today? They just said to me, you know what?
Question.
I just need a hug. Can you just hold me?
Yeah.
I didn't know how to hold myself before. I was always hoping somebody would show up and hold me.
Yeah.
Now I hug myself. I talk to myself. I acknowledge. Sometimes I'll ask them, all right, what do you want to listen to? You want to listen to a song? You want to listen to music? You want to dance? You want to jump up and down? You want to sing? You want to scream? Let's do that. And he always, picks a song from the 70s because that's when he was, the kid.
Love it.
So I
Well,
give him permission to feel safe. Home.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's my question to you guys then, because as we realize, well, to become my true self, I'll keep this in the I form. To become my true self, just like you pointed out so aptly in the beginning of the show, Ev, I didn't know what that was. I couldn't have told you who Josh was at the beginning of this process and when I started my awakening journey. It was all about removing what I'm not. And then that allowed space for me, the true me, to come through, right? So it's less about finding ourselves and more about getting the crap out of the way that we're the stories, beliefs.
Yeah.
And a lot of those aren't our own. We have talked a lot about parents and things and stories we picked up from youth and or other, grandparents, friends, even social circles. We pick up stories and beliefs. So how do we identify the ones for somebody who's earlier in the journey? Is there a trick to like zeroing in on some of these things that we're not? Is there some way we could check in with ourselves and be like, how does that feel? Like when we're early in the days, do you guys remember how you kind of identified things you're not?
This is key.
Okay.
This is key.
Yeah.
And why I'll quickly jump in, Jeff, is because it was only a couple of days, and I really hope the brother gets an opportunity to watch this. And of all places, in a gym setting, it was just one of those connections at this time in the collective. And he just came over to introduce himself. And now I'd seen this brother quite a few times over probably the last year or two, but he'd never said hello. And it was this one time that he came over to say g'day. And so we're having a big conversation, and he's just actually going through a bit of a breakup in his own life. And he's starting to question even what he does for a living to reinvent that.
Sure.
He's getting close to 40 years old. And I gave him one little nudge and I said, well, even actually starting this conversation with me today, there's a part of you that is looking to revisit that truth that we may be talking about today. But I did mention to him, and we've mentioned it in previous shows, man, we got to be so clear with the vision. The vision sits at the top. What is that vision within your life? When you gain that sort of clarity and then have your values underpinning that, whatever is on the external that no longer aligns to those values and vision will naturally dissolve from your life. If they don't, then that's on you now, man. That's on you. Because you're choosing to bring that in. See, if we're not changing, we're still choosing, brothers and sisters. That's why I keep asking, who are you choosing to be in 23? It's a choice.
Yeah.
Okay, Ev, but I got one quick question to just kind of wedge in there. I get the vision, but what if you don't even know yourself? What if you've been living your life for other people so long that you don't know what you want, or you can't get focused on that vision yet because you've been so distracted pleasing everybody else? That's where I was in the beginning of this. If you ask me, what do you want? I mean, I had some general things, but not the stuff that really lit up my soul. I had to get a whole bunch of stuff out of the way first. So what would you say to somebody then who's been living for other people and may not even know what that focus is yet?
Wow.
Is there a way to...
I just wanted to hop in. I wanted to hop in real quick. That is a brilliant friggin' question, Josh. And then I want to go back because what Ev says is huge. It really is. It really is huge. And as you asked that question before, I'm going back years to when I started this inner journey. And all I knew was giving myself away to be loved. All I knew was that's the only way that I was going to be loved, is if I took care of your needs. I didn't even know I was doing that. Let's even go back that far. I had no clue that that was what I was doing. But here's and that's what I did. I would give myself away to be loved. I would take care of somebody else's needs. I still remember the first time that my healer at that time asked me, so Jeff, what do you need? And I had no clue what he was asking me. Because nobody ever in my entire life had ever asked me, what do you need? I couldn't even answer the question, and I lost it. So I'm thinking at the very beginning, I'm trying to think about how I started to understand this. And it was a path of unraveling, as you said, just unraveling all of these old beliefs, these old behaviors, and somebody bringing them to my attention. Those behaviors, oh, wow. And then teaching me how to say no, teaching how to set a boundary. I didn't even know what a boundary was. I had no clue what a boundary was.
Darn, Jeff. I used to think it was hitting 4 or 6 to the cricket boundary.
Really? I had no idea what a boundary was. So as you asked that question, I'm just taking this quick look, and really the pathway was unraveling stuff to bring my attention slowly to what a need was. Oh, Jeff, what do you need?
Jay was talking about.
Like Jay was talking, what do I need, right? Oh, what I need right now is a hug. Oh, wow, that's a need. And it was an unraveling of all of that to get to those places about even moving past that comfort zone or that old belief and conditioning that I'm allowed to take care of my needs and have my needs met. I'm allowed to set boundaries. I'm allowed to say no. I remember I was dating a woman back in the early 2000s. And every time she asked me to do something, I would drop anything that I was doing and went and did what she wanted to do. Even though if I had a deadline of photos, I had to go through contact sheets, I had to do this, I had to get these prints done. If she would call, I was there. And I remember one day telling, my healer that, said, Robert, that's what I'm doing. And he looked at me and he said, and so then I learned. And then he said, well, maybe it's time for you to learn how to say no. And then I equivocated no to, if I say no, you know what, I'm really busy right now. Let me call you in 2 hours and maybe we can do it in 2 hours. I equivocated that to, she will never love me.
Yeah.
If I say no, my need right now is to take care of this in the next 2 hours, she'd break up with me.
Yeah.
Here I'm going.
So when you're faced with making you happy and or fear of rejection, what are you going to choose? Fear of rejection every time. Every time.
I take a quick. I want to jump in real quick and share from my perspective the answer to the question that you asked, Josh, and then Ed, you can piggyback off of me. But for me,
I saw you light up during that. Well,
yeah, for me, what it really came down to was that, and you've heard me say this before, and I'm going to say it again because sometimes we need to hear it 1,001 times for it to register or light us up. I knew the man I had become. And I hated myself. I hated everything about me.
Mhm.
But in that moment, I had clarity that I had no idea who I was. And with that, I knew that this journey for me was the journey of self-discovery. Because I knew if I just peel away the armor and the facade as a 54, 55-year-old man in pain, I would find the essence, the core, who am I? And for me, that was the beginning. You know, in order for me to have embraced the process of rebirthing, I got to make a choice, as Eva said earlier in tonight's episode. There's that word again, choose or choice. I got to choose, who was I going to be? The man I had become, or dial back into to find and discover the man I was born to be? When I say the man, I'm talking about the soul, the human being, and how to show up in my life for myself, and how to show up for other people in my life that are worthy of my investment of time. And that's how it began for me. And it's been such a beautiful journey. And by no means is every day a happy place. By no means have there not been setbacks.
Sure.
Or missteps. Notice I didn't say mistakes, missteps. Because mistake is a word of judgment. And each time we're able to embrace a step that has some discomfort, that has some pain associated with it, it's not a waste. As long as we ask ourselves one question: what's the lesson from this? And as soon as we can tap into the lesson, not from our thoughts, but from tapping into your heart space, we can go to gratitude. Because as soon as you understand the lesson, it's like, oh my God, I finally got it, just like you got it tonight, Jeff. Then we could honor gratitude and be so grateful for the up-leveling that we just experienced. We won't experience it if we just ignore and just go back into the pain. But use the pain that you're feeling, the discomfort, to ask yourself, what's the question? What's the lesson? What's the lesson? What's the lesson? What's the lesson? And then don't try to think your way to the answer. Get out of your head and get into your heart. Get out of your house and get into nature. Connect. Connect with the land. Connect with the stars. Connect with the sun. Connect with strangers that you meet along the path. Go to a lake. Go to a pond. Go to a creek. Find something called a happy tree. And keep going back. Until you connect at that soul level. That's how I did it. Started back in 2015, and it's been
Beautiful.
a heck of a journey. What do you make it of, Ev? And you want to piggyback me and add anything to Josh's?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think, you're obviously talking about gratitude in there. There is no other access. I feel, at this stage of the game that we're in, it really is on the same frequency and vibration as love. One of those other things, I think, brother, that, piggyback on what you're saying, Josh, as well, in all this uncovering and discovering of what we're not, is really being able to reflect on yourself from the eyes of others. A big one for me was assessing the relationships and the people that were around me in the environment that I was in. So in those early days through my 20s, when I was actually participating in risky behaviors, I had to really have a look at the reflection and ask myself, is that truly me? Is that my truth? And no way in the world was that my truth. So yes, I did have to go back to see the lesson, stop feeling less than, and receive that gift for the growth and the expansion of who you see today. That I can now come outside of this darkness and be able to shine a beacon for other brothers and sisters to walk upon. So the relationships that we're in is so important. And for me, if we haven't been able to uncover that part of ourselves that we don't know how to live our truth, really look into the eyes of people you trust, those loved ones. They might give you a nudge or two what you're good at. They might give you a little bit of nudging of confidence and self-esteem. So this is going to allow us to continue on this journey, be able to live this truth that we're talking about.
Yeah. And you know, Eva, I just wanted to go back to what you said before that is really crucial, that coincides with our truth. And it's one of the things that I've done lately is to write down what my values are. What are my values? What are your values? Because within those values, those values are a reflection of your truth.
I mean, one thing about that, Jeff, that I want to definitely share is that we want to be careful.
How's that?
To determine, are they really our values? Or again, values from our ancestors. And if we can, and when we are willing to be honest and brutally honest with ourselves in that moment, and then reflect on, well, how did those values serve our ancestors? Did they die? Did they transition in peace? Were they free? Did they have love of self? Did they have love for others? And if the answer is no, then we know that we have another opportunity, which is it's time for us to create our own values.
Yeah.
We can release the values from our ancestors that no longer serve us, that have kept us living in bondage. And this is when I say, no more, not here, not now, not today, no mas. It's time with love to give them back so we can be free. So we can co-create within ourselves, between our inner child, little Jeff, little Jeffrey, little Joshy, little Ev, little JJ. We can create. We can determine what are our values, what are our core values, what is important for us, with no more judgment. Because if we've been living in other people's value systems, most likely there's been judgment, self-judgment, when we don't live up to those standards. Guess what we get to do today? Create our own standards of self that aren't self-deprecating and self-sabotaging. That boy within has had a lifetime, enough of that nonsense. It's time for him to feel safe. It's time for him to be honored, to be acknowledged for your new relationship with him. I want to transition real quickly as we're approaching 48 minutes in an hour. Go ahead, John.
I want to piggyback real quick on the end of that. I always love our talks. We could go on for like another hour.
No, we won't.
You brought up a beautiful point, Jay, and I wanted just to put an exclamation point on that one. Is we can give them back.
Exactly.
The stuff that's we can give, and I've even done that where I've like literally in my mind said, "Oh, this is not mine. Here, you can have it back."
Yeah.
Yep.
It like get used to that exercise. Just this isn't. Once you uncover everything and you get down to this thing where you're like, this story or belief or value is not mine. You're like, oh, that's weird. This isn't mine. Here, you can have it back, Grandpa or whomever, you know, it's
Well, that's what I was saying, Josh, at the beginning of the show. It's like the not good enough. It's almost
yeah,
like
exactly,
the same,
Jeff.
you know,
Yeah.
it's that I know it. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for conditioning and or not conditioning and programming. Thank you. But you know what? I'm giving this back.
You can have it
Because
back. It's not mine.
you know what? I've used it long enough to keep me hostage and hold me hostage within, as Ev said in our production meeting, where the shortness of my life.
Mhm.
I use the word small. Ev in our production meeting used the word short. And that really resonated for me because what Ev meant was, here is this not good enough. And I'm holding the not good enough in my hand. And I know this. So, you know what? This doesn't work. I want to give this back because this has held me hostage for so long, living just and falling short of moving into my greatness and powerfulness and wonderfulness and moving out into the world with that, moving up the ladder of life. And I'm not talking about achieving things. I'm not talking about making more money. What I'm talking about is elevating our life into the greatness that it's supposed to be and what we choose it to be. We can hide behind, I hid behind that not good enough feeling, and I didn't even know I was doing it because it pervaded everything. Now it's like, hey, you know what? I'm giving this back.
This is rotten. I don't want it.
Really? I don't. You know what? This banana is so ripe. It is so overripe right now that I don't even want it anymore.
I can't even make bread out of this.
Yeah, really.
I want to take a moment here, gentlemen, with what time we have before we go into our wrap. How do we change our relationship with our financial value as we dive deeper into these epiphanies and these breakthroughs that, Jeff, you've experienced tonight, as well as what you've experienced, Josh, as well? How do we change our relationship with our financial worth moving forward, or do we? Is it necessary? Ev, what do you think?
It's all intertwined, brothers. It's all intertwined. All intertwined into your self-worth, self-value, self-esteem. So even when you're talking about those values, Jay the Rothman, we've got to define, without judgment, pure discernment, love and compassion, what is the difference between a value and a belief?
Yeah.
It's a big one, man.
Wow, that's a whole show.
Yeah,
I think exactly, Ev. I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, I've been getting a lot of ahas tonight. But exactly what Jay,
23, man, 23.
Really,
We're lighting it up on day 5.
What's the difference between values and beliefs? And the beliefs were what we were conditioned and programmed to believe is true, is the way to do it, is the way this and that. But now it's about seeing those beliefs and go, what are my values now that are not those beliefs?
Boom.
But again, it's Josh, I'm gonna give you a moment here, but real quick. A lot of our financial worth is tied into our ancestors again. You know, let's talk about if Dad was the producer for the family, was Dad, Mom, or both. What was their relationship with their financial worth? And again, it's an opportunity to kind of discover, you know, are you holding on to someone else's value, even around your financial worth? And are you ready to release their story so that you could be free, so that you can start to build some confidence around asking for what you're for what your value, what you're bringing
Yeah.
to the financial, to the exchange, to the proposition.
Yeah.
And it's going to take some practice. It's going to take courage to step into that. But when we are willing to release even our relationship with our financial worth that we've been holding on to our whole life, and most likely it's not even ours. It's our parents, it's our grandparents. We can go back generations and generations. So, Josh, what were you going to say?
Oh man, I got like 5 things now.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to invite you to close this out tonight. But before we do, you can wrap us up with your final thoughts on this topic. And then I want to invite you to share some exciting news about next week.
Yeah. Well, to close out the money part, I mean, God, for decades, I thought money was the problem.
Yeah.
It's not the problem. It's the result of what's going on in here.
Yeah.
And get this right, and that'll sort itself out.
It does. Yeah.
If you're putting your energy and focus constantly on the money, the change happens here. So if you're focusing outside of yourself on the problem, you're not working at coming home, which is the solution to everything. Self-love. I mean, we've been saying it for 134 episodes. And so, yeah, it's a lot of things. And can I say all? Yes, I could say all my problems magically worked themselves out when I got this right.
Yeah.
And when I came home to me. So this is not just work to make you feel better or to make a few areas of your life happy, joy, and rainbows and unicorns. This is it. This is what we're here to do on earth, live this human life and all of its challenges and discover ourselves and discover who we are underneath all the stuff we were passed along the way and come home to us. And then we can move out into that world and create, do, and be this unique gift that we are to the world. There is nobody like you and there's nobody like me. And don't rob the world. Don't rob us of you. Please.
Bingo.
Please don't rob us of you. So come home to you because I want to create with you. I want your unique ideas out there. I want you to change the world, change your circles, light people up. It's man.
That is that's why we do what we do. Wow, that's it, man. That's beautiful.
Magic, brother.
Jeff, you got what do you want to say? I'm giving you 1 minute here to wrap.
No, I was just jumping on the back end. I was just jumping on the back end of that whole financial, what you were asking about, where that comes from. Yes, it is this I call scarcity. It's a scarcity program. It's been running from generations. But we've just got to ask ourselves, what is money? Money is a currency. So then we ask ourselves, what is the current? What is the current flowing within your own being? If you're still running lack or scarcity programs, then that's exactly what you're actually going to attract within your life. So it is simply a program, uploading those new files, those new software, and being able to integrate it and make your body sit down and run this program with your brain and believe the new software. Otherwise, we keep running these programs year after year, generation after generation. But that's my little thing about it. Mr. Jay Riddy, man, you've got a bit of news, haven't you, for next week?
Yeah, well, what do we have going on next week?
Oh, man, you guys. So Eric Hollenbeck is the host of his own show on Magnolia Network, on HBO Go. I'm sure it's the show's called The Carpenter. And he has amazing life lessons that he's weaved into his journey, his process. Just really a unique perspective on growing old and growing into ourselves, and including all the challenges that each of us have, and personal setbacks and things like that. So Eric has a really unique perspective and a really fun angle on growing old and growing into us ourselves. And so he's going to join us right here on Real Men Real Talk Live next Thursday night. Catch the episode because Eric's awesome. I've fallen in love. I crushed 2 seasons of the show like in less than a week because I fell in love with this guy. So I'm really excited to have him on here with us. Thursday's gonna be fun.
Look forward to it.
Yeah.
Jeff, closing thoughts?
I love you guys. This is a beautiful talk tonight.
Yeah, this was I did not expect. It's
Good.
It's amazing. We do this show for everybody out there who's watching right now, and we also are doing it for ourselves. Like I've said so many times, I learn something new all the time, most of the time anyway. But tonight, after 134 shows, and I've had aha breakthroughs, but tonight was poignant for me. And what I want to say is follow the path, stay open, because you never know when it's going to drop into your soul. It dropped into my soul, into my DNA tonight of so much, and I felt the sting and the feelings and the joy of it all, with where the concepts were in my mind and I understood them
intellectually.
And tonight it dropped into my heart to where I felt them.
Beautiful. As I said early on in tonight's show, I'll say it one more time. Welcome home, Jeff Fasano. Welcome home. And with that, I want to thank all of our viewers and listeners that tune in week after week. Tonight's episode was perhaps one of our most powerful episodes since we launched Real Men Real Talk Live. It's such an honor to hold this space with you three men who clearly, as myself, we're all on our own journey of coming home to return to love of self. And with that, I love you guys. Next week, episode 135 with Eric from The Craftsman. Join us.
The Craftsman, yes.
You will not want to miss this one. We're going to have a fifth man join us on Real Men Real Talk Live. We'll see you next week. Peace and blessings. Have a good one. Love you all.